Well, welcome back to Weight Loss and the Art of Highway Maintenance. And one of these days I'm going to explain why I'm calling it highway maintenance. Today's topic, without any demonstration, so you don't have to censor this, is exercise and why I hate it so much. I've played soccer in my youth, not very well. We had certainly what is referred to here as PE, and we did call it sports, on a more or less daily basis in school. We had competitions that were mandatory to attend, and, well, I was skinny as a stick. I was actually hospitalized before I entered school because I was considered to be too thin. Hard to believe now, and I harp back fondly on those memories, if I have them. I think I do. But I was not an athlete. I was not very good at sports. I was never a priority of mine. We walked everywhere. Well, none of us could afford cars, or in Germany you're allowed to drive till you're 18 anyway, so that didn't come into it. And it was so much better to drink beer than use your money for cab fare or train fare or bus fare or any sort of fare. Besides which, it's Germany. It fits into British Columbia, where I live in now, about 3 times or 4 times, so frankly you could walk anywhere. So we walked a lot. And when I came to Canada, my diet changed tremendously. My habits changed as well because, well, you can't walk everywhere and arrive the same day. So also I was 18 and could now afford a car, could get a driver's license, and so I drove. I went to university. I met my wife. She introduced me to dim sum, and I think that really fattened me up. I was not a foodie when I was young. Eating bored me. But at least, I did get some exercise and walking and, the usual stuff you do. I even play soccer. So, what I needed to do desperately was to get back into shape. I've talked about that. I'd hate to call it an epiphany, but where I decided to actually lose weight. And the secret to weight loss is not a secret. You eat less and you exercise more. I don't think any other method works. Certainly there's a lot of articles written about them, and myself, eager little soul that I am, do read them continuously to maybe at some point be enlightened and go, oh my God, all I need to do is, bow towards the moon at midnight 3 times and I'm thin. Well, there are many articles like that, and I've tried a lot of those stupid methods. They never do work. So I had to find an exercise regime I could stick to. Previous experience had shown that if I go to the gym, I either look at well-formed females and forget to exercise, or I look and see over-muscled men and go, that's kind of what I want to look like, overdo it, strain something, and never go back. So, like probably an awful lot of you out there, I have a good folder full of never used gym memberships in different locations I've lived. Some of them where I live now, used, I think, top 4 or 5 times and never returned to again. So they're a fair monument in plastic to my failure to do that. I hate gyms. It's not so much being in the gym as you have to go there, which takes effort. Let's face it, if you don't like sports and if you're overweight and consequently physically at least lazy, it's a hell of a hindrance. And afterwards, once you've done all those exercises, once You have all those feel-good things in your head, and you go, ah, yes, virtuous. Now I've done something. You're still faced with the shower and the ride home. So I decided this time, no gym, I'm going to do this at home. Thanks to an accumulation of exercise toys until then, I already had a reasonably good collection to equip what my wife terms to be a professional gym, and I've shown you earlier is really, I think, the smallest gym on the planet. I have some other equipment which is gathering dust elsewhere in the house. But in the beginning I couldn't even use that. Again, 330 pounds, walking up the stairs exhausted me. So that was really my first thing. Walk upstairs. I eliminated elevators, well, other than anything over 5 floors, because if I need to attend a meeting and have to walk up 5 floors, it's a wet t-shirt contest or a wet suit contest. Not to mention, I suspect it's rather smelly. And people don't listen to you if you're dripping water. So, stairs it was. Did that for a week. Managed it. Yay! At home, what I introduced, it's only one flight. I mean, I live in a 2-story house. That's it. Instead of going up once, whenever I needed to go anywhere, I did the trip twice. So that added a wee bit of movement. Now I'm also fairly anally retentive about my car, and I don't like it scratched. Okay, so I bought it in 1978, and it looks like a relic from things, but in my eyes it's still beautiful and young, and actually my car isn't quite that old. But I'm not driving a Ferrari either. But I do like it scratch-free, so it makes sense to park as far away from the store that you need to visit in our beautifully large malls or other parking lots where there's plenty of parking, and walk. So I did that, because my previous habit was drive as close as you can, circle the one spot that you want for 2.5 hours. When that guy finally leaves, you go pull in it, do your business, 5 minutes later come out, because I'm a man, I know what I want and I get it quickly. That's sexist, isn't it? Yes, no doubt. And drive off again. So 2.5 hours parking, 5 minutes shopping. Really, the ratio is screwed. So nowadays I park about as far away as I can, and I walk the distance. The added benefit is that frequently you can't take the shopping cart that far out. You actually have to carry your bag, so you add a little bit of weightlifting to this, and sweat. So we now have stairs, and we have a little bit more walking from the car to the entrance door. I can't do that where I live because, well, they don't let me. Did that for about a month, and it, odd as this may sound, brought results. And I should mention, I think I probably did mention about 25 times that I'm German. On a couple of websites in German, they were advertising or talking about 1-minute exercise routines. I was going, wow, 1 minute, that sounds good. I can do that. 1 minute is doable. So I did find out what they were, and I then Googled it in English, of course, because frankly my English is a heck of a lot better than my German these days. Hard to believe, isn't it? I hope you can understand this, but yeah. And there as well, it's the principle is the same everywhere. You start with your toes and you flex whatever muscle you can find, moving up to your neck, to your face, do some scrunches with your face, even jaw exercises, fingers stretching, and each position basically held for only a couple of seconds, and you move on. And you get a full body isometric workout in about a minute, they say. I timed it, it takes 3 minutes minimum. But you don't just do that once a day, because I have a suspicion that that might be a good start, but isn't entirely sufficient. So I try to do it every hour. Again, when you're in the middle of a movie like Bond meets Jägermeister, and you start getting up and do exercises, at least my spouse objects to that, with unprintable comments. So on the hour, not really doable, and one keeps forgetting, and I do unfortunately have to work for a living, so that introduces a few constraints. And of course every hour, does it now include sleep, and I set the alarm every hour. Again, if you have a spouse, friend, whatever you sleep with, they would tend to object to the alarm clock going up every hour. Didn't work. But again, being a man over 50, which means I have the bladder of a small child, I have to go frequently enough, and yay, that's the cue. So whenever I have to go, I do my 3-minute exercise. Slightly longer bathroom break that way, but this is what they invented stalls for. It's private, you can do it anywhere, it doesn't make you sweat profusely, and it is effective because you end up doing this at least 4 to 5 times a day. At least I do. If you don't, good for you. You might have to find a different cue, like every time you want a beer. Oh God, you would be muscle bound really fast. So I started introducing that, and the good thing about the beginning phase of any diet, the first 3 months, provided you stick to it, is you actually do lose weight fairly rapidly. First water and then some actual fat. And if you don't exercise, what you start losing, not start, but actually start with in the losing part, is muscle tone. You don't want to do that. So you do have to keep your body moving. You have to use the muscles. Otherwise you will lose them if you diet. And what you want to lose is fat, not muscle tone. So I think I at least somewhat got the mix right, and I was losing fat. You can, I mean, it's still way too enormous, but you know, they say you can do the pinch test, and if it's more than an inch you're overweight. You could basically grab a foot. So it was coming off, so that is encouraging, and I upped the exercises. I try to up it every week. That's a good system, a good theory, but I really didn't manage to do that. I think I readjusted my exercise level realistically about once a month. I added kettlebells, I added dumbbells, I added that little pushy isometric thing, because I am actually driving a lot, highway maintenance. I needed to find exercises I can do without equipment, which brought me back to isometrics. There's a couple of really good books out there. There are probably hundreds of really good books out there. Find something you like. Don't like books? Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, all you have to do is really go isometrics or isometrics on the road, isometrics in 5 minutes, isometric for cowards, isometric for weird dudes. You probably get hits under all of those, and you can put your own exercise equipment, exercise routine together very, very quickly. And I do that. At first forced, now more easily. And that's after 18 months, okay? Have I learned to like exercise? Hell no! I'd rather sit in this chair, read a good book, play on the computer, or do other entertaining things, or be entertained. I don't like exercising. I don't think that's going to change. I wish it would, but I don't think it will. Do I feel better after exercising? Yes. Part of that is physical. I mean, the body actually does like to be moved, challenged, and be used for other than just a carrier for the brain. Brain, People who know me, they are really rather divided of whether I have one or not. Then the other feeling good comes from, well, it's a task accomplished. You've done what you've set out to do, and you did it well, because there's an instant feedback loop. You do feel once you've done exercises. As usual, I'm guessing, talk to your doctor and talk to people who know. The advice usually is don't go past your pain threshold, because that's probably pretty bad. But don't stop with, done. Challenge yourself. That's all I'm saying. Bye.